Okay, the Truckster needs a frame, a roll cage, but not really a roll cage. Just something to keep the vines off your face when you drive down the trail. You can clear one of our trails 100% and come back 2 days later and there's a 3-foot sticker vines going straight out from the side and they will rip your face off. So I'm gonna make a little stainless cage. I'm gonna attach it here with some flat plate and some bolts. And I'm gonna attach it here with some angle and these 2 bolts. And then it's gonna be that lightweight tubing that I got so much of. Won't be strong enough to like dump the thing over and keep it off your head, but it'll keep branches and stuff out of your face, and that's what I want. That's what I'm gonna try to make. Now I've got 2 little angles that I swiped from my wife's stockpile, and I'm gonna bolt them here with these 2 bolts. Here, yeah, probably like this. So I need to take these out, drill them and bolt them, and that'll give me a support for the little roll cage between this and this. Should be enough, I think. Maybe add something in the future, we'll see. Any of you guys ever purchased heavy nuts for a 5/16 stainless bolt? I didn't think so. These are obviously stolen from a plant. This may look like a bunch of old boat stuff, but this is really a Truckster overhead frame. Just hadn't been made yet. Now I've got 4 90s. I've got 2 here, and 2 on this one, and I got 2 on this one. These aren't quite 90 degree, and they're not bent the same radius. So I'll probably have to use one of these with one of these to make it come out looking halfway decent. And I clamped up some little boards to kind of get some scale, and I think that's good even for tall people so they don't bump their head. Well, they might have to duck, but when you're riding, you shouldn't bump your head when you're riding. So I'm gonna put a curved piece here and a curved piece here, and the ones that go across will just be butted straight into either the top or the front. Yes, I got a plan, so I can move forward now. And I got these angles bolted on here, and they're super strong. So according to my wood template, I need 38 inches front to back. And this is what I have left over from the anchor pulpit handrail that I cut up. So if I measure my 38 inches, this is where this angle needs to fall. So I need to cut this. I need to cut this junk off, and then I'll trim this bottom. And then I'll just have to put straight legs on it to make the height right. And then shoot, moving along. I'm ready to make my first weld right here. Everything's set up square, weighted down, and I realized my welding hood is at home, and all I have is this old dinosaur. And I'm a bad enough welder with a good hood. I'll try to get a tack on it, but I'm not too optimistic. I may just have to punt for the day. Well, actually, I did pretty good with that old helmet. Now I need to make another one just like this. It'll be the mirror image of this little bend, which they both had. I'm going to cut this one up, and I already have the other one cut, which is, where'd it go? There it is. So, this looks like this. And the other one will have to make up the length difference to match this one. So let me get to cutting. I've got my 2 top arches welded up. Not terrible welds either. I'm doing pretty good, especially considering that hood I'm using. So now I need to stand them on the cart and see how many more inches I need to add to this to get it to the right height. So my existing curve stops here, and I think I want it to come to the bottom of this 45. So I need 35 and a half, or 35. I measured it, I forgot. And I marked it, so I'm okay. I'm gonna cut it out of this old Bimini top frame. It has a little bit of a curve to it, but I think on this short piece, it may not be noticeable. I'm gonna give it a whack, and this is kind of tricky because if I weld it and it's a little crooked, that's not gonna be good. I may have to just put a little, may need to just put a little bitty tack on it and then bring it over here and see how it fits. Because I may need to bend it one way or the other. So the lengths are okay. I went for a test fit. The problem I'm having now is, I burn a hole in it, nothing's new. This is not a 90, it's less than a 90. So this bar is sticking out too far that way. I need to bring it in. Now I tried to bend this to a 90 with my little Harbor Freight bending deal back there, but that one leg was so short that it wasn't working. But now, after I weld this on there, I think I'll be able to put it back in there, and I think I'll be able to get this bent down, or I can just manhandle bend it or something. I'm gonna go ahead and weld it up. So I got my second arch welded, and you can see how long I am. I'm gonna have to bend that some more. And hope it doesn't break my weld, because I know they're not up to snuff. So this is a super condensed version of what actually happened. I went back and forth. At first, the straight part had a curve in it, which was making things worse. So I kept bending on it a little bit. It's really hard to bend this stuff without kinking it. And then after I got it straighter but not straight, then I started working on the 90 to make it bend more. And that took a couple of tries because I didn't want to overbend it and I didn't want to kink it. But in the end, I got close enough where I could physically spring it into place. So I was pretty happy with that. Well, I've been gone for a week, but I'm ready to get back after it. I think I need to weld these things to my clips, which means I have to hold them steady in place. And they're real springy and they're just a little bit warped. So this will be interesting. So I got that back vertical where I want it, and it's vertical, or it's kind of vertical. And this is gonna be a hard weld for me. Well, all welds are hard for me, but this is gonna be harder than normal. This plate is like 4 or 5 times thicker than this tube. So I gotta put enough heat to melt the plate, but not burn the tube away. So I know what I'm supposed to do, but whether or not I'll be able to do it is a whole different question. And just like that, an hour later, I've got the 2 sides tacked into place. It took some doing because they're both just enough crooked to be crooked. Now, I'm gonna cut the top piece. It's just gonna go from here to there. And I think the 2 backs are pretty straight up and down. So I just need to measure them and cut them. On the front one, this one's leaning way out, so I'm gonna have to pull it in with a come along or something, get a different measurement. But I think the back one's good, so we cut one for the back and get it up there and get a tack on it, and cut one for the front after I pull this in with the come along. And then I'm gonna put some diagonals, kind of stiffen it up, although it's not terrible, just like it is, but it looks like it needs something. It's kind of spindly looking. I can get one horizontal piece out of this piece of handrail, and I can get one horizontal piece out of that piece of handrail, and after that I have nothing that's straight except for these little 12-inch long pieces. So hope I don't muff them up. First sideways bar went really well, at least cutting it, fitting it went well. I just cut it the length, not from center to center, but a little bit less, and I took the flap grinder and got a little cove on each side, and I had to do it just twice. I put it up and looked at it, took it down, sanded on it, and put it back up, and now it's good. So I'll try to get some weld on that. And so yeah, my plan is to get it all together and then unbolt the brackets and take it all down and weld it where I can turn it around and always be doing a downhill weld. So it won't be. Now this piece and this piece had this cool curve on here, so I'm gonna make my first 2 braces out of these 2 pieces and make a match, or try to make a match. So it's a new morning. I tacked that brace on yesterday afternoon. So this morning I got this one. This is a little more tricky because it kind of has to match the first one as far as where I put it, but I got it clamped on there. I'll try to get a tack on it, and then I got to decide whether I'm finished or not. I'm kind of leaning toward putting an arch, 2 arch pieces across the top. I have them. So I have this stainless, and this end has a little arch to it, but it's not circular. It's kind of a spiral. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would look right, and I don't think I can bend this stuff without kinking it. Anyway, I'll weld that bracket on and then scratch my head. Okay, I'm calling it fully assembled. It's pretty strong. I'm sure if a big old heavy guy hangs on this, I don't know. I'm calling it assembled. I'm going to take it all the way off, which means 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts. Going to be a little bit of a pain. And put it over here on the ground where I can weld downhill. My downhill welds are bad. All my other welds are just, I can't do it. I can't see, my hands shake. I just, it ain't gonna happen if I can't roll this around and do it with downhill welds. So take it off, put it over here, weld it up, grind it, clean it, put it back on, call it done. And next up will be exhaust. Well, that was sort of a frustrating 2 hours. This stuff is thin and it burns holes real quick, and then it takes me forever to fill them. But I think I got it. It's probably 90%. I'm happy with it. It's going back on the car, get bolted down, and then we're gonna look at the exhaust, because exhaust needs some love. The branch deflector roll cage is done as far as I'm concerned. So it's actually pretty stout. Probably if a big guy were to stand, I don't know. It's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. We're gonna go mess with the headlights, and the next time I come here, I'm gonna mess with the muffler. So this is the status of the Truckster. Put a mirror up top, and that's huge because I can't turn around and see traffic behind us. I was taking the kids for a ride and I realized I need a mirror, so I put a mirror. Roll cage is fine. The starter motor does great. The alternator charges. The headlights work. The little glove box is good. I got dual exhaust, and the mufflers are like that I bought, little cheap ones. They're way too loud, so I got to deal with that. Battery's new. Brakes are fair, but it runs like a piece of you know what. I don't know what's going on with the motor. It was running better earlier, but it'll just barely run now, so I'm gonna have to deal with that. But yeah, it's all good, getting there. I will I think I might make homemade mufflers, try to quiet it down a little bit, and then I got to figure out why the engine won't run. And other than that, I think we're good. I mean, it shifts correctly, the high-low works, the bed dumps, everything's lovely. Just got to make it run right and quiet it down a little bit. So anyway, let's wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Have a good Thanksgiving. That's tomorrow. We got family, so not a whole lot happened this week, but you know, life is good.